I traveled to Sevilla, Spain for 2 weeks with one main goal: to become fluent in Spanish. Here's how it went. I could really see myself living here, and before this experience, here's what my background in Spanish looked like. I had taken 2 very beginner level classes over the course of university. I had taken one asynchronous intermediate level class over a summer that I barely learned anything in, and then I had taken another intermediate level class that was intensive, taught in Spanish, and I had oral presentations every couple of weeks, so I improved a lot that semester, and I would have considered myself B1 proficiency around that time. I also have a few friends that are fluent in Spanish, so I would sporadically talk with them, but I was not good about that really at all. Over the past year though, my Spanish kind of went out the window, and when I arrived in Spain to take classes with CLIC or CLIC, I was in for a bit of a rude awakening. I leave for Spain in 5 days, so it's really time to lock in with practicing my Spanish. This trip was very last minute. I only booked it, I think, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I have not taken a Spanish class in a year at this point. So I'm kind of nervous, especially because I'm going to be living with a host family. I want to be able to communicate with them and not rely on my English. And I every time I try and talk in Spanish, I get nervous and I forget every single word I know. So in the next few days, I'm trying to just learn more conversational words and then memorize more verbs, because I feel like that's what I struggle with, is just memorization and then knowing how to string sentences together. So, I've been grinding that Duolingo. I feel like my Duolingo algorithm is very, it's pretty advanced in Spanish. I think it's about B1 proficiency. So I'm on section 5, unit 7. My Spanish score on Duolingo is 60, which means, according to Duolingo, in real life, this means you can confidently handle most situations while traveling, which I feel like would be true if I was still B1 and had kept up my practice, and also if I didn't get nervous when I was talking Spanish. Today is Monday. I have an oral test on Wednesday with the CLIC language school in Seville, so I don't know how that will go. I think it's just 10 minutes of talking to see what kind of level you're at. And I also took a written placement test, which I'm pretty sure I bombed. But it's okay. They can just put me in a low level and I can work my way up. That's where I'm at right now. And so I set out on my journey to Sevilla. After checking in with the host family I'd be staying with for 2 weeks, I decided to shake off the jet lag and explore the city for a few hours. So I fear I've hit a wall. I've been out of the house for about 4 hours. It's about 5 o'clock right now. And I think I've been out since 12 or 1. But I've just been so jet lagged and walking around like a zombie. So I had another coffee. And then I people watched for a little bit. And then I sat down in a restaurant and had a beer, because I figured if I was going to be drowsy, I might as well have a beer. And then that was my downfall, and I've just been walking around and not absorbing anything, and now I'm sitting in the park trying to recuperate before I go to mass in 40 minutes. I'm extremely tired. I think I slept half an hour last night in total on the plane, so it's not surprising I feel like this, but I'm just so excited to go to bed tonight. I'm done with my first day of class. I'm back in my room and it is 9 o'clock p.m. It was a super fun day. They put me in A2 level for Spanish, which I feel was exactly right for me because everybody else in my group seems to be at the same proficiency as me, and honestly I'm like surprised they didn't put me in A1. So that was good. And after class I did this walking tour of Sevilla with the language school, and it was all in Spanish, so I probably understood like 50% of it, but it's so super beautiful here. I definitely am like struggling a lot with like the speaking part of Spanish more than understanding. I feel like I can understand most things that are said to me, but I just like don't have a lot of vocabulary, so I'm struggling with stringing sentences together. But I think that might be something I do tonight, is just look up common words and phrases that I need more of. But yeah, like when we were at the walking tour, I felt like I couldn't really like talk to anyone because I didn't know enough to like make conversation in Spanish besides like the surface level, like where are you from, like where you live kind of questions, and then everybody like started speaking English like afterwards. So I don't know, that's not the best. I feel like it is kind of a crutch because everyone pretty much speaks English, and since I don't know enough Spanish to get by, it's like very tempting to just slip into English, so I'm trying not to do that. But honestly, like I want to make friends too, so whatever I have to do that. But yeah, great day. Why, hello there. I don't remember the last time I updated it. I feel like I've really settled into like my routine here in Sevilla, and it's been such a good week. But right now it is Sunday, the 2nd of November, and I have another week of language classes coming up, and then I leave on Saturday morning. So I really just want to soak in this last week, get to a couple of the other things on my Spain bucket list. But I'm honestly really sad to be leaving, especially because I met a few really nice girls who are either au pairing or like taking language classes in Sevilla, and so I could really see myself living here. But just to recap the last couple of days, the language classes are going pretty well. I think I mentioned they put me in A2 proficiency level, so I've just been getting like a crash course basically in everything I've already learned in Spanish. But then also, what's been super helpful is them forcing us to speak, and that has made me like get over my fear of talking in Spanish, and also just being okay with the fact that I'm a beginner and I'm still learning, and it shows. But like the only way to improve is to like force yourself to speak the language, even though it might not be correct grammatically, but just making sure like you can get across your idea correctly. Also, just like learning new words in my vocabulary that are useful in everyday life has been super helpful. I was kind of feeling like overwhelmed, not really overwhelmed, but like overloaded with Spanish information. I feel like I was kind of like hitting a wall where I was kind of like tuning out people when they're talking in Spanish, especially like with the cultural activities that my language school does. Those are all in Spanish as well. So like if they give a tour of Sevilla and they're like walking around explaining things, it was all in Spanish. So I just found myself like kind of tuning it out because I knew I wasn't going to understand all of it. So I feel like the weekend was very good for like just refreshing my memory and not forcing myself to talk in Spanish all the time, meeting some girls who like were talking English. So I am trying to just like do a hard reset and then be ready to jump back into it on Monday. The cultural activities with the language school are also really good, so I've been enjoying that part as well. We went to Kiddies, which is like a day trip from Sevilla, on Saturday, and I feel like they did a really good job of structuring it and getting us to do like some activities there. It was very fun. So that was a very nice trip. And then today I finally got to sleep in and just hung out with a couple friends, went to mass. So it's been a good week. I also wanted to show a bit more of what a typical day would have looked like for me while I was in Sevilla. I was living with a host family that was completely organized through CLIC, and I had half board, which meant I had breakfast and usually dinner. So every morning around 8 a.m., I would have my typical Spanish breakfast of tostadas, which is toasted bread and usually jamon or turkey. Jamon is this very good cured ham that they have in Spain, and Swiss cheese usually. And then I would always have hot milk with instant espresso mixed in. After breakfast, I would walk about 15 minutes to the language school. Classes ran from 9 to 1, and they had a short break in between. And the classes were intensive, taught in Spanish, usually revolving around grammar or speaking. After class, I'd usually grab something quick to eat, like empanadas or bocadillos, these mini sandwiches, and then I would just spend the afternoon exploring the city. If CLIC had an activity in the evening, then I would go to that to meet more people and get more practice listening to Spanish. And then I'd come home for a late dinner around 8:30 p.m., provided by the host family. Before this trip, I had just turned 23, and so I wanted to do something fun to celebrate a new year of life. Learning Spanish has always been a personal goal of mine, so taking these classes in Spain, it was a meaningful way to immerse myself in the culture while also getting inspired to keep on going with learning a language. I studied abroad in Rome for 4 months, but I was mostly surrounded by American university students and always speaking English. So I felt like these 2 weeks living with a host family in Sevilla felt like a deeper cultural immersion than I was able to get in my 4 month study abroad. And to keep up my momentum with Spanish, here are a few things I plan to do. And if you're learning Spanish too, I'd love to hear what's helped you in the comments. First is finding a language exchange. These are events where people meet to practice languages. So I'd speak Spanish, and people who are learning English would speak English, and you just help each other out. Also, investing in a language app. Right now I use Duolingo, but I'd love to find one that's more focused on speaking and communication. Like I know there's an app called Pingo AI, which you just talk to an AI bot in Spanish. I also want to start watching my TV shows with Spanish captions. So for example, like I've been watching New Girl and putting on Spanish captions to see what the translation would be of the things that they're saying. And if you have any good Spanish show recommendations, make sure to also leave them below. Also, I need to take advantage more of having Spanish-speaking friends because that's a great resource to use, and that will be great as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video where I talk about my experience with CLIC and traveling to Sevilla. I might make this into a series where I try to learn Spanish before my frontal cortex develops, so I have 2 more years. And just make sure to subscribe for more videos, and thanks for watching!